So here we go. So this was on our big. This was Will Sansa marry Aegon Targaryen here. So here's another one from Lady Ashley of Noth. Who actually that was a response to her video. Well, you're getting another one. Why? Because she's like the comment queen
Yes,
over
she is.
over on the YouTube. So here she goes. So she's saying, that was so cool, guys. Thank you for reading my comment. And the idea was, will Sansa end up marrying young Griff? She says, I 100% agree with you guys that telling Kevin Lannister the truth, right, as he's getting ready, to die, as he's invested in false Aegon's success, as he said he was. My tinfoil theory, though, is that while Varys may have been talking to Kevin, the message was actually for somebody else. The raven that had been perched on the windowsill. After Varys shoots Kevin Lannister, we're told it flew up, but nothing more. It could have been somewhere else in the room or hovering outside the open window. In any case, I suspect Bloodraven was in that bird, and Varys used Kevin to relay a message about false Aegon because Bloodraven was the single biggest impediment to every previous Blackfire rebellion. And now that he's stuck thousands of miles away, there's not a damn thing he'll be able to do about this one. Nor could Bloodraven have seen it coming because it was orchestrated beyond his reach in Essos. There's no evidence of weirwoods there. So this could be a good way of Varys saying checkmate. So she goes on a little bit more, but I think we'll just start with that part right there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I actually really like this, and the idea that Bloodraven was, again, putting these Blackfire rebellions down, using sort of, him being fluent in maybe some of the dark arts, some glamour stuff, like he has some magical ability. Varys, especially in the show, they hint at this a lot. He's very anti-magic and power, and he's more into just modern day, like he is a spy master. He's a trickster, aware of many different faces and masks. So this would be kind of really cool. He's almost that, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like he's of a lower, not really lower class, but he's like almost of like a working class and really just wanted to do things for the realm. And he does it over in Essos. He starts these plots and stuff. And this is something that, kind of he's gonna, as she said, say checkmate in the end here, and finally got it. Finally did it for the family. Finally got the Blackfires to sit on the throne and got a seat at the table. More so, I think that's a great idea.
Yes, yeah, 100%. I agree. Yeah, it is interesting because I think we kind of forget in the show because this show some sort of taints our view. Remember, like the whole deal about Varys and what happened with him, right? Remember, became a eunuch, and there was like perhaps magic involved.
Right.
In the show, we see the other. What is her name? Is it Kinvara? Is that her
Okay.
name?
Yeah. Kinvara or something like that.
Kinvara?
The,
Yeah, the other red priestess who
right.
we see for like one episode.
Right.
She like says something to Varys, she like whispers it in his ear, and then we never really saw what she said to him. But it like obviously, I mean, it like scares Varys.
Right.
And
Oh yeah, it does.
so, again, take that with a grain of salt because it's a show, but perhaps, something that George told them. But obviously that character doesn't exist, but he could have said, maybe it's Melisandre that says something to him later,
Well,
right? Maybe it's something else, but it still just ties into the character that maybe there is something going on with magic that Varys doesn't like. Go ahead.
yeah, I just think it's interesting. This is a season 6 character, right? So Kinvara, a red priest, one of the high ranking leaders in the faith of R'hllor. And I want to go look, like, is she a substitute for like other red priest or priestesses? That the show was like, yeah, we need to feature a female, or we need to, I don't understand. Like there were other, so like Makoro and stuff. It's like, why didn't they go with someone like that? You already had Melisandre. It's just interesting that they made this character up, and you wonder, like, okay, is she gonna come up in the series? Is this someone who we just haven't met yet in the actual book series, and George gave this to them, or what? Because yeah, she's very involved with Varys, and you feel like there's it helps to amplify his resentment towards magic. You know, it's like when he converses with her, it's like, okay, you understand this guy threw things into the flames, and he's like seeing all this, and he's freaked out by all of it, and he was assaulted and everything. It's just awful, you know, and it's just like a crazy story inside of the movie or the TV verse that's not there in the books yet. And it's just like, did they just make that up, or is it, you know?
Or is it, or are we going to meet more red priestesses in Winds of Winter, right? As magic begins to get expanded. I mean, that's I do think that whether we meet more red priestesses or not, I think certainly what's going on in Old Town is going to be expanded more, and just the we will see more magic and more magic users in Winds of Winter and the Dream of Spring if we ever get it. I mean, we're still waiting on Winds, obviously, but I do think we will begin to see more red priestesses, I'm guessing, right? And more Relore. I mean, if this whole thing is supposed to come down to a battle of ice and fire, I would imagine we would see some more.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, the known red priest in the book series, I have him here. We've got like Bonero, the High Priest of Relore from Volantis. Thoros is there. We've seen Thoros quite a bit. Makoro, called the Black Flame. He's on the crew with Victarion Greyjoy. Melisandre of Ashai, called the Red Woman. She counsels Stannis. Let's see here. There's another one in Bravos that passes by. It's like I can't even pronounce it. As Alino, maybe, is what it is. And then Kinvara is TV only. They have it listed here as TV only. So yeah, they're human beings. And like other human beings, they vary greatly. And that's what George's quote kind of on the Red Priest, that they're human beings, and just like other human beings, they vary greatly in their maybe approach to Relore and their dedication, what they see in the flames. Like there's that human element that George explores and says, yeah, we're human, and so you make mistakes. Like Melisandre is at first, when she comes in, this bigger deal, and we're like, holy shoot, she's got powers. She can like withstand a poisoning. She can see stuff. She's birthing shadow babies. Like she has real power. But then you see the flaws, the human side, the interpretation, the fears, or whatever. And so I just think it's really interesting to see how Varys is going to be, you know, in contrast to them. He like this whole plot. He's familiar with Relore and all the magic and stuff over there. That's something that's kind of like migrated over to Westeros. It's kind of new, you know?
Yeah, an argument being made here is that Kinvara replaces Bonero and Makoro.
Yeah. Okay.
Was her role.
Yeah, I gotcha. And I just wondered, because look at Makoro. I was like, man, if they brought a guy like that in, that would have been very interesting and would have showed sort of another side to, it's just interesting they used Kinvara. So she's great. Maybe, I mean,
yeah, cool. She is cool for her little time on the show. Maybe they just my guess is if you want my real answer, my guess is they are like, we're gonna bring in another attractive female to get more viewers. I mean, in all honesty, that's probably number one why they did it. And then number two is she looks like I think it's easier to show somebody that also looks like Melisandre. And because we've already been introduced to Melisandre, we have, somebody like Makoro. If you brought that guy in like that on the show, it'd be like, what's going on here? This is like way different.
Well, yeah, you're almost wondering whether they're part of the same faith or like it's very easy to see they're wearing the same garb. And so I think for your mainstream audience, you come in, you're like, okay, yeah, I get it. I know exactly. I don't have to think much about Kinvara. I just know she's another duplicate of Melisandre, And if you had somebody else who's dressed slightly differently, like, okay, is he from a different sect in the culture or the religion, or what, because he does have, he's got the tattoos, he's got all sorts of crazy features. So they wouldn't have had to do that necessarily, but yeah, it's just so you wonder now then if she replaces someone like Makoro or whatever, is then he going to be in opposition to Varys? I mean, he's on his way. He's right outside. He's about to have a big interaction with Daenerys, and Kinvara in the show was very much preaching that Daenerys is this person, like almost in opposition to Melisandre. Like it's all like they have their horse in a race that they're backing, and Stannis is Melisandre's horse until Jon Snow shows up, and then Kinvara in the show is like, Daenerys is all about pushing Daenerys forward. It's like they got to get on the same page. They should be communicating through the flames and figuring stuff out, because you guys are selling us on two different heroes here.
Now, do you now? I guess we'll tie it back into the Bloodraven thing here. Does Varys know? Hey, think Rave? I don't know. Maybe. I guess could he, in theory, could he, I'm sure he knows who Bloodraven is. Now that would have to tie him to him being a secret Blackfire and just assuming Varys would be not trusting of any Raven. Thousand Eyes in One.
Right.
If that is sort of the case, then
right.
But I mean, it is interesting that Varys does say that to Kevin as he's getting ready to kill him.
Yeah. And it's words that either, so with George, and I like Ashley's comment because
audience.
it's like for us, but if you pay close attention and there's something else there in the room, like if there was no one and no mention of anything else, then it's sort of like, what's he gonna do later? Say there was one of the little birds was inside the wall that wasn't working for Varys or something, that's kind of weird. Because any of those little like the little spies inside the keep are like tied to him, so it's like, yeah, if there's a Raven there or whatever that could be listening, that's intentional. You put that there as a device, whether he uses it or not. Like George at least set up a way to say, okay, I can tie this back. And this is again how Bloodraven and Bran can use the Weirwood network and then see things through Raven's eyes and all that kind of stuff to gather and have information, because that's a big leap. It's like Varys seems to know a lot, but then we find out he's very human and is limited in his network. Whereas like Bran and Bloodraven are tapping into magical powers, and it's like, who has a better network, a better scheme, a better plan? What are the limitations to both? You have to have limitations to some degree. So
yeah,
it's a good comment.
Yeah, it's a great. Yeah.